weekend's not good for me. I have to work on my script.
Good morning, everybody. It is 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I am deciding to stream at this hour. Why am I streaming so early in the morning on a Saturday where most people are probably asleep? Because I think I'm a psychopath or some type of sociopath. I don't even know anymore. I mostly subbed yesterday. I just subbed through most of yesterday at the hall. Um, and then I went to bed really early, or like 6 o'clock, I think. Like I went to bed early. That's all I know. I went to bed early, kept sleeping. Woke up a few times just to go out and or just make something to eat, and then I woke up like 3 hours ago. Hey, decentralized info, how you doing? Yes, I woke up like 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, I say, and then I just said screw it. It's already past 2 o'clock. I'm gonna just stay up, and if I decide to go take a nap at some point later on after stream, I will. So we're gonna be streaming for I would say depending however long, probably a good hour, an hour and a half. Not really too much we're gonna go through. I wanted to watch like 2, 3 documentaries, mostly on one on like what's considered like the original incel documentary called Shy Boy documentary, which is really interesting to watch. Thought about it going through and watching the Elliot Rodger documentary by Monkey Jones, because I always found his documentary and his thing on Elliot Rodger to be the most interesting thing out there. I think of all the people who ever cover Elliot Rodger, I think Monkey Jones was the one with monkeys. I think of all the people who ever cover him, I think Monkey Jones was probably the best person who did a good job on the whole Elliot Rodger. Uh, and if you don't know who Elliot Rodger, he's sort of like this gentleman guy, kind of like not the prototypic incel, but like what people consider like what incels to be, these violent, these criminal-minded people who hate women and who believe they deserve every woman. That's sort of what's considered the stereotypic incel. Which isn't really the case. I have a lot of opinions on incels, especially because as somebody who is a late millennial, like the very end of being a millennial, I grew up with a lot of the early MGTOW and Red Pill movement, probably before the whole incel thing became a thing. Um, which is funny because incel has been a word since like the early 2000s, and it had a very different meaning, right? And it's funny enough, the word was coined by a woman who wanted to help men who had problem talking to guys. Um, so that to me always struck me out funny as hell. We're gonna probably watch a Coach Red Pill video that I just found recently because it was if you don't know who Coach Red Pill is, Coach Red Pill was a guy who became really popular around the mid 2000s, a little bit around Trump and a little bit when the skeptic community was dying, and at the same time at the alt right was basically rising but then fall right after. He kind of was in that period of time. And he really was sort of this guy who was pushing down the whole like trad life kind of person and the whole like red pill ish. Like because back then the term red pill was like you realizing those alternatives of reality. In a Gnostic sense, you're realizing that the world we live in, it's false, it's fake, it's gay, and that's what it kind of. I mean, there's also more to it. It had a political thing to it as well, but it was very different. It's a very different time when the MGTOWs and Red Pill were kind of like these people. And again, like as I said, I have a lot of opinions on incels, but I understand a lot of the talking points. Like those talking points are new. Like Whole Math, who was very popular. Nothing against him, but like the things he talks about are things I've known about for a long time. Like if you've been around like the MGTOW stuff for a long time, you should know about these stuff by now. Like that's why to me, like someone like Andrew Tate's coming into the fold is kind of like, eh. Like when people talk about Andrew Tate and quoting him and everything, it's like, okay, it's like I've heard what he said. The only reason people take Andrew Tate serious is because like he's a younger looking guy, he's a lot more fit, and he has money. That's all. That's why people take him serious, or at least they take what he says serious, or they just follow him, because he's a younger looking guy. So that's what I would say. Some people will probably criticize me for that. I really don't care too much, but let's watch some culture spell for a little bit.
I love women. I think that they're terrific. Men bore me. I think that men are just stupid. Okay? Probably because, whenever I'm talking to most men, I know what they're thinking or what they're going to say, 3 steps before they say it, So it's just no fun to be talking to a guy. But a woman, Jesus Christ, I mean, she's just a complete surprise. And I'm not talking about like, sexually attractive women between the ages of 20 and 27. I'm talking any woman, a 3-year-old girl, some hot young thing,
But he said
some
3-year-old
older middle-aged
girl
woman,
kind of
some
scares me a
elderly
bit.
lady. They are all fascinating to me because they're all so surprising. The way that they think, their priorities. Guys, they're simple. Women, it's not that they're a mystery. It's that they're a constant surprise, as far as I'm concerned, right? That's why I love women, right? But I recognize the truth about women. Women are like dogs. Now, what do I mean? You have to treat them like you would treat a dog. Firmly. See? A woman does not respond to insecurity. A woman despises insecurity and responds to weakness with a snarl, just like a dog.
He's the thing about what he's saying is a little like fucked up, but like he's not wrong. He is not wrong. Women love men who are confident. They hate insecure men. This is the fact of life. Women love a guy who's confident in himself and confident in the things he say. Right? You can be a nerdy guy who has an anime waifu on his shirt, but it's not like he is confident and he has the balls, right? Women love that. Even if they find him creepy or weird, they can't deny that, like, oh, he's a very confident guy. That's why we ever like, if you ever wonder why goth girls always go with either like, um, blue collar workers or a really nerdy guy who wear the Legend of Zelda Triforce on their shirt, it's because they're very confident. They don't give a shit, right? You know the guy I'm talking about. He had the green Legend of Zelda shirt, the Triforce. He has like the what is it, the brown khakis pants, shorts, right? Very much like um the basic ass sneaker that you buy like at Walmart. Like that guy is confident in himself. That guy has like no fucks in the world, right? And women love that. Women love that shit. You know.
You ever go up to a dog and you're afraid of the dog and the dog senses it and the dog gets up and smells the fear coming off at you and starts barking at you and snarling at you and showing its teeth and it's pissed off at you and doesn't like you, right?
He's not wrong. He really is wrong.
Like a
Dogs do
woman.
respond to fear. Animals
You
do
go
respond
up
to that.
to some, you know, 23-year-old hottie, right? And you're like all insecure and tentative, like, I'm sorry, hi, can I get you a drink? I just want to be friends, please don't bite me. And what's that woman gonna do? She's gonna snarl at you. She's gonna look at you like, ew, creepy, ew, rough, right? That's what she's gonna do.
Now I would mention that there are a few cases where a woman is like kind of into a guy who's a little timid. There are cases of that. Um, but more likely than not, they're not gonna really respond well if you're a timid, insecure guy. Some women do like a guy who's a bit timid, but like there has to be more to that, right? There has to be more. Like the only reason they'll date a guy who's timid is because they think like, all right, he's timid now, but if I can push him out of that, then he will be a whole different guy. Like you got to remember that.
Right. You come up to a woman, the same 23-year-old hottie, and like, you're pretty hot, but I don't think that you're in my league. You know, what's she gonna do? She's gonna be like, whoa, whoa, who's this guy? She's gonna chill out. She's gonna be intrigued by you and relaxed around you, right? Because women are like dogs. See?
Women are
If
like
you're firm and
dogs. See?
self-confident, they respond. They get relaxed. See? Just like
See?
dogs. You go up to a dog, you know, a big, mean Doberman Pinscher, right? Or whatever, some Germanic, what's a Rottweiler, right? Or a pit bull, you know? You go up to that dog, you know, and you say, hey, don't fuck with me, dog. I'm the human, you're the dog. Sit. The dog's gonna be like, oh, okay. And that dog is gonna sit. And you're gonna scratch its head, scratch it behind its ear, you know, and lo and behold, that dog's gonna roll over and offer his belly to you, and you're just gonna scratch away, and that dog is gonna be, you know, happy as a clam. And you're gonna be happy too, because, you know, you made a friend with this great dog. See, with women, same thing. You're afraid of them, you're screwed. See, you go up to them confidently, you speak to them confidently, you look them in the eye, you're relaxed, and what's gonna happen? You're gonna be fine. Yeah, the woman's going to respond to you. She's going to be relaxed, because women respond to confidence. It relaxes them, and they feel that the man that they're with, the confident man who's speaking to them, knows what he's doing, knows what he's about. Now, of course, the issue becomes, how do you get that confidence? Well, how do you get that confidence with the dog? Experience. You go out and you meet different dogs. You meet different dogs, and at first you're going to be afraid, and at first the dog is going to bite you. Right? But eventually, with enough experience, with enough mileage, you get confident. You meet a new dog, no problem. See, there was this wild dog out where I used to live for a while, right? I lived out in the country for a while, late last year, and this wild dog was running around and just
He's really not wrong. He's really not wrong. Like, if you're like a guy and you want to talk to women, the best way is just to be confident. Is just talk to as many women as you can. Even if you're not wanting to date them, right? Even if you just wanted to talk. Talking to a woman is once you've spoken to a couple women, it kind of becomes like an easy pattern of just knowing what's gonna happen next, right? Because women are very emotional creatures. Right? Like this is the state. This is like, you know, this is the fact of life. Women are very emotional creatures. So if you respond to their emotions, right, especially vocally, they love that, right? One of my coworkers, right, she was giving me some advice one day, right, and we were talking about like certain things, right, and she said to me, like, guys are very visual looking, right? They look at the visual, and that's what gets them going, whereas women are very vocal. And she told me that if you really want to like get a woman, like, speak in a way that is just sexually attracted to them. But the only way you're gonna figure that out if you go out and have experience, right? You just gotta go and talk to a woman. Now you don't have to talk to every woman, but you gotta at least go out and talk to very different kinds of women, you know, just to get yourself have that experience, I guess.
being a nuisance. But he was a big dog, so people were scared that it was going to bite somebody, and it was a fast dog, and it was, anyway. The point is, I wound up going up to that dog, and I have some experience with dogs, and I just yelled at the dog and said, stop barking. It stopped barking. It didn't know that I wanted it to stop barking. It just sensed that I was the guy in charge. See, the dog chilled out. Soon enough, we became fast friends. Soon after that, started hanging out at the house, you know, and it de facto became the guard dog, right? Why is this? Why did this happen? And by the way, this is the trigger for this post, because I realized, you know, I had enough experience with dogs to get the dog to chill out. And the same with women. When I was young, you know, I was terrified of women. I shat bricks whenever I'd see a woman. When a pretty girl would look at me, I was like terrified, tongue-tied, or worse, I'd say just a lot of stupid shit. And she'd like look at me like, oh God, get away from me, you know? That's what she used to say. But I got enough mileage in my system. And also I discovered that if you're funny, girls like you.
Oh yeah, I know.
You're funny, you're telling a joke, you're making...
That's true. If you're a guy who's able to make people laugh, or at least able to make a woman smile, there's two things that you can do to get a woman to talk to you. And those two things is to make her smile or make her laugh or giggle. Once you have those two things in the bag, you're good. Like even a fat guy, right? Even like a 300 pound, like someone like Boogie or Wings, right? If they can make a girl laugh, that girl will give them attention. And the coworker I was talking about told me the same thing. Like she told me that a few fat guys came up to her, and once they started to make her laugh and smile, it's just like, yeah, you give them a shot because like they're not actually as bad. And it's the truth. If you wanna get a girl, learn to make them laugh and smile. Learn to compliment them. Like I know it comes out very simpy, right? I know it comes out very simpy, but sometimes if you play the simp card right, a girl will respond to it properly. I've done it a few times for the kicks and see how it worked, and it has worked at least in my favor. Where I'll simp for a girl for a little bit, and then from there we go from there. You gotta know how to play this, right? It's just all about just girls. It's just all. Sometimes a lot of girls are similar, but some girls who are more unique and different, who are more challenging, are usually a lot better. But it all depends on what kind of girl you're looking for. If you're just looking for a regular girl to date and marry, then you have a lot of options out there, more than you think. If we don't include a lot of the whores and all that shit.
Making them laugh, because when laughter is the quickest confidence builder, both for a woman and for yourself.
Yeah.
If you can make people laugh, you feel more confident, right? With the same thing that goes with women. You make them laugh and they feel more confident in you.
Also, if you can make a woman or anybody around you feel secure, like they're safe, that's also a benefit. That's just a general benefit.
See?
Ever wonder why a lot of fuckboys get a lot of girls, even if they're not fucking them, they're just talking to them, getting their number? It's because they are making them laugh and they're making them smile. That's how you do it. Yeah, a lot of them are good looking, but it's also kind of that your appearance can only take you so far, right? And if you can fake having a good personality or at least have good humor and able to make people smile, you could get pretty far in life.
And it becomes a virtuous cycle. So that's what you have to do. You have to treat women like dogs. See? You don't hit them. Okay? No, I'm not advocating that. I would never hit a dog and I'd never hit a woman. You don't need to. You just have to show that you're confident. That's enough. Show that you are confident. Show that you are the mammal in charge, as it were, and you'll do fine. It doesn't matter how gorgeous she is. It doesn't matter how big the dog is. It doesn't matter how beautiful her hair falls and how beautiful her eyes. It doesn't matter how big his fangs, and like how mean his build. You're confident, and soon enough they're going to be rolling over and you're going to be scratching their belly or other body parts.
Is that wrong? But it also does depend on the type of women, and like just like dogs, it depends on that. The sad thing about Coach Red Pill is this is where he is now. He did die, I think, like 2 years ago during the whole war in Ukraine. Um, if a woman cheats on you, Coach Red Pill, right? We're gonna actually one of these days do a deep dive on Coach Red Pill. One of these days we're just gonna end up watching a bunch of his old stuff, cause I do have fun memories of just sitting down and watching his stuff, especially when I was in my young adolescent, like not adolescent, but in my like young adult years, right? My like no more like my mid, like more of my like my mid late teen years into my early adult year. I have a lot of fun memories of him, especially when he was like pretty big within the whole general skeptic community. Um, It is a shame that he did pass away not too long ago. Like I think a year ago during I think he was a prisoner in Ukraine, and I got a lot of people on the right to really not like Ukraine. I think it was Ukraine. Someone probably could correct me if it was either Russia or Ukraine, but I think he was a prisoner in Ukraine and they ended up killing him, or he just ended up dying in prison. Um, Again, it's pretty a shame, but we're gonna get into the Shy Boy documentary. I've seen this before, but it always caught my interest.
I figure it's gonna happen eventually, and I'm just frustrated that it hasn't happened yet.
I've never kissed a girl. I haven't gotten anything. losing it at 17 and then going like 10 years before doing it again, I think that's pretty, that's not normal.
That's not normal. What?
I didn't know what the term incel meant until I was 20 or 21, but I knew the concept. I mean, you're a guy, you can't get a girl. It's pretty simple.
I feel like I scammed you into filming me. Like, why would anyone want to film my life? It's so boring.
I'd like to drive around or walk around and just take pictures of like just anything. One thing I'm not a fan of is just going out and meeting new people. I kind of despise that. I don't know about how the term love shy is a great term or anything, but it does describe a specific problem that I think there isn't any other term for. Usually doesn't see very many people coming through here. I don't like see these people, other love shy males in my real life that often. And even if I did, I mean, even if I could relate to their situation, it would be like, then what?
What do you have to offer a woman?
Form name advance.
As of now, nothing.
Insta.
I don't have a job, I am ugly, so my value right now is 0.
All right, we watched a clip of this, and I already stated like I don't think he's a bad looking guy. I think he's okay looking. Maybe like kind of cut the hair a little bit or do something with the hair. I would say his face isn't that bad. I would even say that he has actually better skin than I do. He's very clear facial skin. I don't think he's a bad guy, bad looking guy. I think he's a pretty average, if not like in that like clear 7 or like in that range, right? But he probably has a shitty ass personality, and that's why girls just don't want to talk to him. Also, him not having a job, like if you're in your like early 20s and don't have a job, there's something wrong. Unless you're like autistic or you have some type of disability that prevents you from getting a job. Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, even if you work at a Walmart, right? Girls will still talk to you. I've known guys who work at Walmart and Amazon and they still get girls. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Have
Pisses
you
me off.
approached many women?
Oh, many.
And what was the result?
Rejection 100% of the time. I would start talking to a girl, and immediately she would give me fuck off signals. She would, pull out her cell phone.
Alright, but are you talking to a girl like in public? To be fair, nowadays talking to a girl in public is pretty hard. It is pretty hard to talk to a girl in public, especially with cell phones now being a thing. So I could kind of see what it means, but if it's like a dating app or something, or even like something like X or Discord, right? I know they're not dating app, but like shouldn't be that fucking
Just
hard.
start texting her friends, and just hope I would go away. I don't approach that much anymore because I've had over 1,000 rejections in real life, 2,000 rejections online, so that's 3,000 rejections.
I think we
total.
all seen the clips of him, right? We all seen the clips of him at least one time in our life. Of how many times he's been rejected, and you could tell how pissed off.
Did you count in real life?
I'm approximating. That's not a real word. We're redoing that. Ask a question again.
That's a word,
I
you
aim
dummy.
as low as possible. I aim for obese women, ideally ugly and obese. I aim for the bottom of the barrel because, I realize that I'm ugly. Pretty boys get women, like your sound guy. It is.
The way he just says like I hit the bottom of the barrel, I'm like that sounds like you're desperate. Like honestly, it sounds like you're very desperate. I would never admit that in public, no matter how much true it is. Never admit that in public, especially around girls, because they're gonna probably feel really insecure and they don't like that a lot of the time, and they're gonna probably look at you like, oh, he'll fuck a hooker, or he'll fuck like a crackhead or something. That's kind of the vibe he gives me off.
Just to turn it to him, he's like, yeah. Turn to him. See, he gets women because I knew the moment I looked at
Poor
him.
guy, Kyle was like,
I'm jealous.
Alright, this is GenericCon. It is, in fact, a generic convention.
It's the only time during the year when I can totally geek out and nobody notices.
Have either of you heard of Love Shines before this?
Actually, I haven't. To be perfectly honest, I had no
actually,
idea.
I have not.
When I was in high school,
You can tell it's like, you fucking asshole. You are lying.
I wasn't the most popular guy until the end of the years, and at that point, no girls really were interested in me. In college, I spent 2 years in a 2-year school where nobody really hung out, and by the time I went into the 4-year school, everybody had hooked up. And then the job came. I started
The way he smiles, the way he's smiling, like, you know he's making fun of his friend right now. It's really fucked up.
the same day as a girl that I really wasn't interested in. 3 months in, I started to get interested in her, and she was interested in me. Except when I got interested in her, she stopped being interested in me. And because of this whole lack of experience and naivete, I spent the next year and a half pining for her, unknowingly. And then after
that is the worst feeling, is when you and a girl find each other like appealing and interest, and then it kind of just fizzles away, and then you end up pining. Like, the best way to deal with that, like, my honest opinion, the best way to deal with it is just talk to another girl. Like, I know that sounds fucked up, but like, that's the best way to deal with it. Talk to another girl. Do something with your life. Don't spend. I've learned it's a mistake before. Don't spend too much time over a girl. You gotta learn how to move on when the time is right. If you feel like things are not working out and things are not progressing, from my own personal experience, move the fuck on. There's really no reason to like just sit there, dumb up your ass, and then be like, why won't you fuck me?
After that, I just kind of went with the flow, and whatever happened, happened, so.
You know that these girls, I won't lie, these girls would talk to him and would date him if he just had the balls to be like, hey, what are you looking at, right? Even if you have the bullshit, like, you can tell that these girls would date him.
Oh, we're getting into the forum now.
This is pretty good.
It's a place to vent. I mean, it's just a place to socialize with other incels who suffer from the same problem I do.
It's a place where, people go put things that are like completely hidden from most other places. There's a lot of negative emotions that you can see there. There's a lot of...
Mercer has not found me a girlfriend. They are state-enforced government girlfriend. I know that was a meme for a while, but I still love the concept of that meme. State-enforced girlfriend.
Depression, a lot of anger, a lot of hopelessness. I think the general consensus, though, is that the posters who are more controversial don't really fall under the Love Shy umbrella. Like, they would fall under something called incel.
The two terms aren't synonymous. Occasionally you can have a guy that isn't ugly and might not be able to get girls because, he just never approaches.
They almost, like, they're the opposite of Love Shy, whereas, like, they...
That is a thing. But, like, it's more rare than you think that a guy who's good looking doesn't approach. If they don't approach a girl, it's usually either A, they're very religious, and they're probably going to become a priest one way or another, right? Or they're going to devote themselves to a religious duty or order. 2, they're usually somebody who already has somebody, like, so they're either going to get married or they don't, and, in their eyes, talking to other women, not necessarily that it's cheating, it's just like, I just don't want to get myself involved. Or 3, it's like they're focusing on a career or a goal in their life. That's how I was.
Approach all kinds of women and always get rejected.
There are just so many different personalities on there, and a lot of the times our personalities collide. That's why there's so many flame wars, but it's all in good humor most of the time.
For a supposed support forum, it tends to sometimes have the opposite effect more than it probably should, I think.
pick. It was funny. It's really, really funny for me to say this, but back when like MGTOWs and Red Pills were a thing, pickup artists were a real factor back then. They used to be really into that community for a long time. I remember MGTOWs and Red Pills would debate whether or not it was like moral or ethical to have PUAs. It was like this really weird long debate on whether or not like that was like a good thing or a bad thing. I don't remember how the argument kind of ended, but I do remember it didn't go anywhere like always.
In the bathroom, didn't know what to do.
I'll just do this.
PUA is using certain body language,
Urban white
certain dress, fashion senses, and certain words to basically seduce a woman.
How long have you been training as PUA?
Couple months now.
Do you want to explain any terminology they have?
All right. Well, when two pickup artists go out into the field looking for women, the terminology used is sarging.
You know, if guys are into it just because they want to improve themselves or whatever, and they're using this as their like motivation or whatever, I think that's fine. But it's when you get all obsessed with it that I think it gets ridiculous.
Every day is a sarge for me.
The way I see it, you gotta be yourself on dates because that's what you're gonna end up with anyways. So, picking up artists, it's all scam.
But how are you gonna know what you want if you don't know who you are?
I would say that PUA.
Oh my god, these people are fucking nuts. These people are something. But the thing is, I sympathize with some of them. I cannot deny that I do not sympathize. I do sympathize with quite a bit of them.
PUA is analogous to get-rich-quick schemes. You see, with get-rich-quick schemes, they promise you the moon and the sun. They promise that you can...
Take it slower, you know?
No, I gotta talk fast.
You gotta talk fast?
Yes, I have to come off as...
You can tell he's autistic, or at least he's like, what was the term people use nowadays? Neurodiversion, something like that. He's neurodiversion. He's a neurodiversion. I think that's what the kids say nowadays. Neurodiversion. Who cares?
As intelligent as possible. This is an ego thing with me.
But people can talk slowly and still be intelligent.
No.
I believe that a military-style PUA camp should be created for these guys that you term as you've used the term incels or involuntary celibates. So my plan for PUA camp would be similar to how they do initiation night at the Citadel.
Hello, how you doing?
I would have all the incels and love shies all basically huddled in like cattle into a room. Like these guys would be like standing together like cattle in a cattle pen. And these guys who I'm going to call the drill sergeants would be in there confiscating all their World of Warcraft shit, all their Dungeons and Dragons shit, and they'd put it in a big fucking bonfire and burn it. Then
I love how somebody had to draw the... I'm good. How about you? How are you? I'm doing pretty good. I've been awake for at least 3 hours, and I said, screw it, let me stream for a little bit. Let's see if that tires me out. So we're watching a lot of these incels, MGTOWs, red pill type of videos today. We're gonna probably watch Elliot Rodgers' documentary from Monkey Jones after this. But it's hilarious. Like we're gonna throw all the shit that you like that probably actually some of it can actually give you some form of confidence. We're just gonna throw it in a bonfire. Go fuck yourself.
I'd have these pictures of just these beautiful women in the nude being fucked by these muscular hot bad boys. And I'd have surround sound playing the sounds of women enjoying sex, you know. Fuck me, baby. Fuck me, baby. And I'd have neon lights flashing the words.
It's also adorable, and you can't.
You can't have it. They would break these incels down. You know, just like the military, break down an incel, build up a PUA. You know, that's what we gotta do.
You can tell that this guy pays for sex. Like, you can tell that he pays for sex. Or he does some shady stuff with a girl at a bar. You can just tell by the way he talks, the way he acts. You know he does some shady... You know he probably spoken to a minor or two before. You can tell just by the face the way he talks, the way he acts. I know a guy like this who wore the same type of glasses, he had the same type of body, glasses, hat, and he would always tell me all the girl he fucked, and I'm like, good on you, man. Good on you. How's that daddy and mommy issues going on back in the scene? How's that how's that relationship mommy baby mama problem going, right? How's that going for you?
Me?
But, so I believe there's 4 types of males in this world: alphas, betas, gammas, and omegas. Now, omega males
Brave New
are the
World
lowest
type of
kind
shit.
Males there are. Omegas are what I would call genetic garbage.
You play the Omega, which is the little brother, basically.
No. Not little brother. Villagidian.
So that's what I aim for. Is the guy everybody makes fun of as the Joker. The Joker of the group, if you will.
Can you explain Omega?
Do you understand the Greek alphabet?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you understand the Greek alphabet? Yes. What?
Is the last. As I had explained to him, using the wolf pack analogy, alpha and beta are usually the 2 dominant wolves. And then in most wolf packs, there's an omega, which is usually the last to feed, the last to get mates, last for other stuff.
We all take our turns down at the bottom.
You can tell that this girl feels sort of uncomfortable, and that she's around these guys because she's probably fucking him. She probably think like, yeah, he's the only guy with any balls or confident in himself. And she's around the other guys. Maybe because if this doesn't work out, maybe she get lucky. Maybe the other guys will give her more attention. Women do that a lot. Women do go after like a lot of guys on the, sadly on the end of the total pole, as a way to make them feel good, right? It's no different when a woman who's like really sexy and really hot does the same with like guys who have a lot of money or a lot of like influential wealth. It's the same thing, same logic. It's just very different. It's a opposite end. And she probably isn't a bad girl, right? She's probably isn't a bad looking. She's not a bad looking girl. She probably isn't. Her personality isn't too bad, but you could tell that she's just there because either she's fucking him, or she's around these guys to make herself feel better.
I know. I have to learn to gain more confidence around you guys and to try to build myself.
Not just us, in general.
Yeah.
This is a life skill. Going back to the pack animal analogy, the mates will...
Your stereotypic atheist Reddit guy. God is dead. You Christians. Why don't you accept science? Why won't that nun fuck me?
That too.
It's always interesting to meet people in real life that you only know from the internet. You just want to see how it translates in real life.
Something he will never ever need in his life.
I've already needed one.
Yeah,
Well,
back in
can't blame that.
during the Clinton administration.
Look, if I needed one 8 months ago, okay? I just didn't have one, and I was too lazy to go get one.
If you don't,
And also, I did have chances in college while Bush was president, but I just was too much of a wuss.
Well, that's the internet for you. Here we are, 5 friends who met from the internet, except for Kyle.
Stay focused. Stay focused.
Well, there are several do's and don'ts about getting laid at a nightclub. I'll list them out for you. Here are the do's. Be attractive. Be hot. Be good looking. Be muscular. Basically, I can tell you're incel.
I've had mixed experience at a club before. I ain't the most like good looking guy, and I ain't the most fittest guy. But I tell you something: if you can dance on the floor, girls love that shit. Girls love a guy who can dance, just from experience.
By looking at shit. Pale. I think being pale is a big sign of it. Don't. These are the don'ts. Don't be unattractive. Don't be average looking. Don't have pale skin. Because that also gives off the creepy serial killer vibe, you know?
No. Nah, the pale skin is bullshit, because
Well,
my skin is pretty
follow those
pale.
rules. You're pretty much guaranteed a free lay every time you walk into the club. It's all in your control. Learn how to sleep and hit the weights. And wear clothes like Kyle. Listen to this music, guys.
What is this music?
It's just beautiful music.
The fuck is this? I'm not saying this isn't bad looking. I'm gonna be real with you. This isn't a bad looking jacket, but it does not fit him. Those sunglasses, they do not fit him. None of what he's wearing fits him. This guy right here, that works for him. You can tell that he feels comfortable. He what the hell? Like some type of anime boy shit, right? So this was uploaded 9 years ago, I believe. Around like 2010, either between 2010 and 2014. Around that ballpark. This was made. Okay, I'll look at it right now offhand. I think it was more than either between 10 to 15 years ago. Yeah, like 2011. It was like made in 2011. So like, yeah, it's like that's like right when like smartphones were becoming dominant. YouTube was becoming more prevalent. Facebook was now dominating MySpace. Tumblr was a force of power back then. 4chan was like about to hit its peak in the next couple of years. It was like a long time ago.
Fact check.
She's not fat.
She wasn't fat.
Jeez, no wonder. Maybe he's got like distorted vision.
What, my vision?
Yeah, you just see every chick as being fat.
Oh, okay.
This is Parmesan cheese, right?
Look what Kyle's wearing. He's got this polo on, it's fitting. He's got nice jeans on. He's got flat bottom sneakers with the Nike check.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't like polos. I have said this so many times. I like to wear more button-down shirts where I can just like tuck them in, really nice quality button-down shirts. That's how I am. Very floral pattern, something like that, to give yourself a nice flair, especially if it matches your skin tone. I just never like polos. Like, no one can convince me to ever buy a polo.
He's got this nice jacket here. Your clothes are just awful.
He's like, your clothes are shit.
When some guys are like, why can't I get girls? They'll be like, oh, it must be my looks. No, it must be my personality. Looks and personality are not mutually exclusive. In curing one, you cure the other.
Yeah, sort of.
It's UWT here, and we're in the mall giving Michael a makeover because he's fucking ugly. But not anymore. Once we're done, we'll transform this dud into a stud. Peace out, niggas. Get a 33 pair of these. He's the kind of guy who would wear Converse sneakers. That's a Sarging tie, Sarging shirt. The flat bottom soles are in, right, right, Scott?
Nah, this nigga needs to get some fresh J's. Fresh J's on this nigga.
I usually don't care when people say the N-word. But this man particularly should not be saying it. I am sorry. I don't think you should be saying it because it comes out so awkward. It's not even funny.
What the hell are fresh J's?
Ken's shoes are very important. Get the fuck out of the way. And why are shoes important? Turn the camera around.
From my experience about shoes, I've talking to a woman about shoes, and most women have told me they don't give a shit about shoes. They understand why shoes are important to guys, but most women don't care if you have the hottest J's, right? Because when a woman is looking at you, they're looking from top to bottom, right? A woman is going to look at you from top to bottom. So shoes are the last thing. Not saying it's not important, but it's not like the end all to be all.
Say it to the camera. Why are shoes important?
I don't know.
You know the answer. Just what's the answer? What's the first thing a woman notices?
Your face.
It certainly isn't personality, so.
It's not the first thing a woman notices.
It's shoes.
What's the
Just say
first
it's
thing?
shoes.
Just say what the first thing.
Dude, you weren't supposed to wear all the items at once. Hey, excuse me. What do you think of this? I told him it looks terrible.
It's comfortable.
She's like, it's like, I don't give a fuck.
It's not a bad idea, but I don't think what I need I'm gonna get from these guys. I have a feeling we're going after a different kind of
look.
No, as I was saying, I have a feeling we are.
You can tell that the guy is genuinely sweet. You can tell that he's a guy who is really looking for a genuine relationship. And I hope he does. I hope he does find a relationship that he's happy in. But you can tell that he does not feel comfortable or see eye to eye with the rest of these guys.
Going after a different kind of female and what we're trying to attract.
What kind are you trying to go after? Someone who
Yeah,
will
what kind of
love
girls do you
you
like?
for
You never
you.
answered that.
Do you think looks matter? I think personality probably matters more.
My look.
No. I know personality looks are very important. It's just at what point of your relation when does that matter or not? Oh god, my fucking mouse just died. My mouse just died, guys. Midway through stream, my mouse died.
Looks are the only reason I am inside.
I feel like for the most part, being sort of shy and introverted is not attractive.
I think looks is 95% face.
I feel it's better to be socially able.
No, a
He's
chin
not
that's
wrong.
balanced.
He's not wrong.
Facial thirds that are balanced.
I feel like my life is kind of like a mess. I'm like, I think that, why if I was a woman would I want to date me, someone like that? I'm like, no.
I'm tall and slender and girls like that, but face is 95% of everything. If you don't have a good face, you're done.
Why do you think
Sort
Advance
of,
is so
sort of.
obsessed with his face?
Maybe because his face is something that he can't really change.
But he can and will change it.
Well, with plastic surgery. Yeah,
There
but that's
is
like
a
one
way
of
to
those
change your
things, though.
face.
It's like making a film.
You
I
know,
want to be
like
a filmmaker.
if you clean your
but
face
making
up
a
every
film is
single
such a hassle
day,
that I
if
can
you
always
put
come
like
up with an
lotion and
excuse not to
cream
do
on
it.
it.
Yeah, I
Like
made a
he
couple
does
films,
not
too.
have bad skin. He does not have a bad face, and really, like his skin, it's a lot more clear than the guy on the left. Like from my personal opinion, I think the guy on the left had. Did my fucking mouse die again? It did. It's not even charging. I'm a goober. I'm gonna have to wait. What?
I already got a rhinoplasty, so. I have a Photoshop picture where I shortened my face, I made my canthal tilt positive. I'd like to have my Neanderthal brow grinded down. I'd like a canthoplasty, which is when they lift the corners of the eyes. I might decide to get a
You look like a
revision
girl, dude.
rhinoplasty.
You look like a girl. Like you don't even look like a guy anymore. You look like a girl.
After I get cosmetic surgery, I'm gonna wear this shirt when I approach women, and I'm gonna get their number right in front of your face.
Well, how are you gonna afford cosmetic surgery?
Hopefully I'll get a job someday.
You don't have a job now. What the fuck are you doing? Are you like going off of the gimmies? Are you getting government benefits? And no offense to that shirt, but that shirt is something that like a farmer Hispanic guy will wear. But that guy is very confident. That guy can approach women and make them laugh. That shirt does not fit you.
Yeah,
man.
but you'll be old and ugly by then.
And then I'll need a facelift. I know more about fat chicks than probably anyone on the planet. Like, I could write a book on them. I look at ugly fat chicks and I see how easily they get men, and sometimes that makes me angry.
Do you ever resent women?
Sometimes I do because of how easy they have it and how hard we have it in comparison.
What makes you an expert on women having never touched a girl, kissed a girl, or had sex with a girl, or been in a relationship with a girl?
You don't need experience to know about something. Sometimes when I'm in social circles, there are girls around and I observe them. And that's a lot of what I base my theories on. Sex, I don't think most women like sex. I think it's something that they do just, I don't know, just because. I mean, like the guy wants it, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
No, dude.
women
no,
don't have
dude.
high sex drive.
No, that's so stupid. Women do like sex. A lot of women do like. Now maybe nowadays a little different, but like that's a little different in itself. Most women I met do like sex. If anything, many of them have high sex drives, and they want a guy who can match that, right? I feel like this is a guy who doesn't know what sex is, and he just wants pornography. I have to like give him an example of what sex is.
I don't know. I think you have somewhat feminist views, but I mean that's it.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I agree that women are people.
No, see, that's bullshit. And if you don't realize that, then you've been brainwashed.
Do you think that women ever have trouble finding love?
Nope.
What about sex?
That's even easier. That's like shooting a dead fish in a barrel. When you have a machine gun, infinite ammo.
If a woman wanted to get sex, she could go to a grocery store and ask any of the male cashiers.
That depends on the woman. That depends if she's good looking. That depends if she has like, you know, clear signs of a drug addiction or alcohol addiction. Depends if she's fat. Some skinny women are not very attractive. Like really petite skinny women are not attractive at all. And if anything, sometimes I've seen a lot of them in my area that look like they've been on the, you know, they've been on the hit. If you know what I'm replying, if you know what I'm saying, they've been on the good old opioids.
And I'm sure they all would, even the married ones, even the Catholic married ones.
I would.
You could tell he has a big resentment towards Catholicism. Like, okay, man.
Do anything just for a 300-pound ugly white girl. I would fight in the front lines, the bloodiest battle.
No, you won't, dude. No, you won't. Shut the fuck up.
And come back with no limbs, if it meant that that would guarantee me an ugly fat chick for life.
Women are women. Men are men. You're still humans. They're not some special. They're not some thing to be placed on a pedestal.
You can tell
and I'll tell you one thing. Women think the same thing about men sometimes. If you can put yourself in the female perspective, you'll realize that they, at occasion, are just as nervous about.
You know they're flirty. You know maybe they'll fuck later.
Actually, my problem has been I've only been around people who felt like that. Like most of the friends that I was close to were either married, no social, we're not in any dating scenarios.
Yeah,
like
but I didn't get born married.
Right, but I wasn't around people when they were.
Yeah, I got born married to her. That was just really weird.
You must explain the cake.
No, we don't have to talk about the cake.
You need to talk about the cake. Come on.
What's the cake?
It was a vagina cake.
It was in fact a vagina cake.
And they specifically saved the special portion for me.
Uh-huh.
And I tried eating this thing, and it was like, oh yeah, it's not gonna be a problem. I'm gonna lick it and everything. It'll be hilarious. And then I go and I just got red in the face and choked. I couldn't do it. I'm just. I got.
Incels like soft porn because they've never seen a vagina.
They like
most of them I've ever seen is like a girl in a bikini, so they're gonna end up jerking off to that because that's what they've seen in real life. Because a vagina and titties, because they've never seen those IRL, is kind of scary.
What this guy's end game?
I think there's some projection going on here. You're the one who's afraid of vaginas. Oh wait, you're the one. That just reminded me of the thread. I'm terrified of female genitals. I totally forgot about that.
I just don't like looking at them.
What?
Guys just want to fuck them. They don't want to like look at them. They're like they look like
they don't look
meat sockets.
Bumping ugly.
They're not beautiful. They're not.
Do you like the way dicks look, Sarah?
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine.
Let us look at pictures of. Oh God, I can't even look at it. I'm serious. Like.
He's probably gay. Like, no offense to anybody who's gay, but like this guy is probably gay. This guy is in the closet. He's probably with these other guys to make him look less gay, so he can feel better. You can tell he's gay, or he's either gay or bi.
I Google vaginas and I get this fucking picture. I can't even fucking look at it. I don't like.
Or he's been traumatized.
They're too low.
Guys probably don't.
They're too low?
Yes.
What do you mean they're too low?
I wish they were parallel with my dick. Sugar
What?
magnolia blossoms bloom and heads all empty and I don't care.
Wait,
Saw
so
my baby down.
Why did you think you were incel before and love shy now?
Because I used to be incel and now I'm love shy.
Wait, what?
When was like the turning point?
When I got muscles and better clothes.
Do you think you'd be able to hide that you're a virgin when you lose it?
To be fair, having clothes and having nice clothes and having muscle, it's a very confident boosting. It does boost The guy's confident
You
a
mean
lot.
if? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think I can hide it well.
Wait, he's a virgin?
No, actually, I don't know if I can. So Lori starts complaining to me, and she doesn't know I'm a virgin. She's like, I can't believe I had to take his virginity away. I mean, I'm all cool with guys being virgins if it's because of their religious beliefs, but if a guy just can't find someone to have sex with him, that's pretty pathetic. And I mean, that's just the truth of how they feel about it, you know?
So do you feel as though you're a good lover?
I'm sure I could be if I had the chance.
I know what goes on. I mean, the penis enters the vagina, thrust, question mark, profit.
Yo ho, let the winds blow, just hear the ocean roar. We're sailing to a better land, to be and sell no more. Ahoy, we sail the seas. I'll yell out land ho soon, and we'll dock on the shores and unzip our drawers and get some hijabi poon.
The perfect life. I'm trying to think of what I want to say about that because I don't know if I should get into my fantasies.
Cut back for his face looked like a whole.
I'd like to be like a very androgynous Korean guy.
What?
Who has like a stalker girlfriend. You're not putting that in there. You're not, right?
There was urban white trash who wanted muscles and cash and made jokes about his poos.
Yeah, Vegeta. Who's Vegeta, right? I'm somebody else from the forum. Can you guess who? Let's play a game, Vegeta 2.
The reason I'm outgoing now is just because you guys already know the worst shit about me that you could possibly find out and use against me. I'm shy around people I'm trying to impress because, you know, for me it's just a big game, you know. Just a little nervous about this documentary. I got the 2:30 feeling.
What are you nervous will happen in the documentary?
You're gonna put it on the news and
9 o'clock news.
Investigative reporter
Can't get
uncovering dens of misogyny. She infiltrated their ranks, exposed one of their most outspoken members under the handle of urban white trash.
they say in that Hallelujah song, the one that's like, I heard there was a secret. Yeah, I figured you'd be a fan of that song.
I'm not a fan.
No, you're not a fan? Oh, okay. Well, there's a line that goes, maybe there's a God above, but all I ever learned from love was how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. I don't even know what that means. But
I recognize that. I know
that's kind of how I feel about everything.
That's how I feel. Wow.
I don't think I'll ever run into a duplicate. I'll never run into somebody, oh, you remind me of Advanced, or you remind me of, you know, urban white trash. They're unique, for better or worse, which is not, I don't think it's that common. I think most people, I don't know, maybe like people are just like too afraid to be like so crazy the way these two are. They're unafraid to be crazy.
So, that's my sad little life. What do you guys think?
The end of the documentary? No, there's still a little bit more. We still have a little bit more left to watch. Not sure if it's over or not.
I just want to be like in with one person and I'd be totally happy as long as it was like a good relationship, and the rest of it just wouldn't matter. I get overwhelmed and I think I should just quit, and I don't do anything because I'm like, well, what's the point? So I just figure, why even try? What's the motivation?
I was thinking I should have jumped off while you were doing the pan. I see it as like, you know, abstract art. That's what art is all about. It's like the ultimate art project, is to kill yourself by jumping onto a pavement and splattering yourself, I think.
What?
Aren't I cheery?
I think that alone gives the reason why you can get girls.
Yeah, basically I just hung around her for a really, really long time until she did something.
Oh, look, he found something
I
nice.
kissed Mike, and he sat there and didn't do anything, so I ran away, and I felt so rejected because I thought you didn't like me or something, and I felt like I made a total ass of myself.
You kissed me for like 15 minutes. I think if I didn't like you, I would have ran off before
I don't remember
the
it being
15 minutes. It was
minutes.
pretty long.
So what do you think about
It was 15
Mike running
minutes.
a website?
Mike, what?
Running a website.
You're running a website?
I don't really run it.
Wait, is this the group that you were telling me about?
Yeah, that's where I met her from, where she
I
posted
didn't know
her
you
message.
ran that.
Yeah, I haven't always ran it.
Go, Mike.
Go Mike. You can tell that woman really likes him. Like, you can tell that that woman doesn't give a shit about he runs a weird website. Like, you can tell that woman really likes it for him. That's right there. Like, I hope they...
Of the website is when we're all perpetually single and frustrated about it. Almost.
Well, then you had almost girlfriends in college.
Yeah.
Really? Why didn't you want to tell me that?
Really?
Single
Like,
boys.
oh, tell me about it.
I think as I get older, I get more depressed because I feel like I have less time. And I don't know, I kind of like being this way. I feel annoyed that I feel like to have like a normal life, I have to like alter. But then what's the alternative? Keep going on the way you are, which doesn't work.
I think when you look at the bigger picture, though, I think you have it pretty good. I mean, compared to a lot of other people in this world, you have a really good life.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's not what you think it should be, but you do. You have a good life.
That's a girl. Guys, if you meet a girl like that, keep her. That's a keeper right there. That is a keeper. You can tell that she really likes him. Like, she really genuinely wants to be with him and make his life happy. If that's not true love, I don't know what is.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
That's a scary question. I don't know. I've either figured out everything or I haven't, which would be bad if it's the latter. I don't think about it because I just assume I'm gonna figure it out. Otherwise, I'd probably have a mental breakdown now.
I want it to be as if I never existed. I wish I could do that. I wish I could make my life so that it never happened.
And what if you miss out on meeting your dream girl?
So what? You never existed. Why would you care?
That guy's retarded. This guy's clearly retarded. He doesn't get the hint.
That could happen. She could die, or she could just dump you. So it's like, even if it does happen, it's not like, it's not like your problems are solved.
I wonder what the comment section say. It's America. Huh? I need to no. I need. Where are they now? See, there's a. See, there's really an update. See if there's somebody has. The 3 million were shown. The diamond decided to turn their life around. They saw friends with Sahara and talked to her and the camera guy. Sort of last podcast and the last episode. I gotta watch that. That's something we're gonna watch. Gotta keep memory. Let's see if there's more. See something like I said. I heard it from people online, but I don't know if it's true. Also, that Vance went to China, became an English teacher for a Chinese student, and he got a GF. This is true. I know this because I was one of the guys who touched with the document maker and told her what he was up to. I knew him for a brief period in China. He had a girlfriend at the time. Didn't know him. I mean, yeah, clearly he does have issues. See if there's more. See if there's more. We can. This is something I gotta look into more because I feel like, to me, this is interesting. He didn't do an update, but it was saying that one guy moved to China trying to get a girlfriend. They also got into Jenny. Michelle Michael got a long-term girlfriend. The one guy that said the government should issue girlfriend did something crazy and got in and baked her like jail time. But the comment I read went into more detail, and I'm sorry, I just hear. That could be. Oh, that's pretty cool. Probably. I think that's all we're gonna get out of that. That's all we're gonna get out of that for a little bit. So we've been streaming for a good hour. A good hour. I hope everybody liked that documentary. I liked it a bit. It looks like Locale Ozzy's streaming right now. Let's see what they're doing. That's a way to kind of break it up.
No idea why, like what he was getting.
At the way to break up what we're doing now. See what they're streaming
into when he hired me, because
I know someone in the server called you a lady killer, but I didn't realize it was true. I thought they were.
Well, to be fair, she had dementia. She wasn't long for the world anyway, so I just made life a little easier.
Serious? How do you know that? The fact that you know that about him.
Proved that DR. Yeah.
Mind you, Twiggy isn't Australian. He's an American. If you never met Twiggy on the Discord, he is not Australian. He is he's American. But he has a pretty good Australian accent. He's not a bad guy. I don't find Twiggy as a bad guy. From my experience, he's not. Oh, Billy's on. He's not a bad guy. I would say this very confidently. Twiggy is not a bad guy. I just don't like him.
I don't like my story.
These two guys aren't too
killing an
bad.
old lady.
I just don't like Twiggy.
I love Rostov. Twiggy, you're okay. But come on, Sonic, to do something bloody hell. You're being kept.
Okay, we're gonna move on from this. We're gonna move on from that and take a momentary break. Then we're just gonna watch the last video. We're gonna probably watch the Elliot Rogers stuff. Cause this, for some weird reason, anime.
Judy, what about the?
Is this it? Doesn't matter.
Judy.
Okay, moving on for the massacre. Yeah, there, we found it. I'm gonna take a small break. I'm gonna go grab a coffee. We'll be back in like a couple minutes, guys. We'll be right back.
What about the people around him leveraging? He was giving.
What's going on? All right, hold up. Testing, testing, testing. You guys can hear me? Hold up 1 second. You guys hear me now? I have no clue what the hell happened. What the fuck is going on? Hold up a second. Hopefully that works better now. I don't. The hell's. Hold up. Why is it not working? Can anybody hear me? Hopefully that works better now. Okay. I have no clue why. Why my mic was acting up. I have no clue what the fuck is going on. Whatever. We're gonna continue. We've been streaming for a good hour and a half. We've been streaming for a good couple minutes.
Given medication, he was sent to therapy, didn't do it. Why not using? Take the BMW away. Take the sunglasses away. Take the apartment away. Tons of leverage for this kid, none of it used.
Every time a major tragedy takes place, there are two big questions on everyone's minds. Why did this tragedy happen? And what can be done to prevent future tragedies? Unfortunately, instead of trying to actually answer these questions, the vast majority of people instead take advantage of these tragedies in order to push their political agendas. Every single time something like this happens, you'll hear one side advocating for stricter gun control and the other side fighting for increases to mental health services. Regardless of the context or the specific details of each individual case, these people consistently put the blame on guns, lack of mental health services, or sometimes even ridiculous shit like video games. These people did this after Columbine, they did this after Aurora, and they definitely did it after the Elliot Rodger massacre. But what makes the Elliot Rodger case so special is that the killer wrote up a 137-page manifesto detailing his life story and explaining exactly why he did what he did. Elliot left very little room for interpretation. He was very, very specific in explaining why he committed his massacre. And yet, when the dust had settled, we still heard the same exact arguments from the same exact people. Guns are to blame. A lack of mental health services is to blame. Video games are to blame. Elliot Rodger handed them the answers on a golden platter. And yet these people still resorted back to their typical politically motivated.
It is a shame. It is very true that when the answers are very clear or very much right there in your face, a lot of people don't take that, right? Because it's easier to take what's not there and morph it, or what is there and morph it into a very different thing than what it was originally. I think that's why the Elliot Rodger stuff is so skewed in such a direction because it's easier. It's always easier to skew towards a direction, right? Especially when the information is right then and there. It's you know, it's pretty sad. It's really sad at how that works out.
Answers. The purpose of this video is to cut through the political bullshit and to answer these questions once and for all. Why did this tragedy happen, and what can be done to prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future? Before dissecting exactly why Elliot Rodger committed his massacre, let's first dispel the politically motivated answers provided by the talking heads in the media. It should be noted that we are looking at this specifically from the perspective of the Elliot Rodger case. And the question we are trying to answer is, how could this tragedy have been prevented? Gun control and mental health services may be viable answers in other cases, like in Orlando or with Jared Lee Ladner, but I want to look at this specifically as the Elliot Rodger case. So, in the specific case of Elliot Rodger, would stricter gun control regulations have prevented this tragedy? Well, 6 people were killed in Elliot's massacre, and 3 of them were stabbed to death. Thus, only half of the deaths were caused by guns. Would the removal of guns from the equation have reduced the number of deaths? Yes, but that's not the question. The question we're observing isn't, how do we prevent the number of casualties in the next massacre? The question is, how do we prevent the next massacre? Thus, even if Elliot Rodger didn't have any guns, this massacre still would have been committed because he killed half of his victims with knives. In the state of California, there are 2 main components of the background checks a person undergoes if they want to purchase a handgun. Has this person been placed in a mental health facility? And has this person ever been charged with a crime? For both of these questions, Elliot Rodger was in the clear. The gun control regulations didn't fail. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. On paper, Elliot Rodger was an innocent, normal person, so he was allowed to purchase a firearm.
It's funny how a lot of people have this sort of disdain toward Elliot Rodger, but once you kind of look beneath the surface of the guy himself, there's a lot more of a complexity to the guy. I'm not gonna deny like the crime he did was horrible and horrendous, but I think once you start to understand the individual down to who he is, his inner, the things he does, who he is, and why he does it, it shows a very different picture, right? Especially nowadays where everything is very skewed and everything had to go down a certain direction. It is very fresh when we have somebody who is the opposite of that.
As if these people expect weapon vendors to literally read the minds of their customers. There was no way for these people to know that Elliot Rodger was planning to commit a massacre, and as a citizen of California, he had a right to purchase those weapons. So guns aren't to blame here. Now let's look at the argument that an increase of mental health services would have prevented the massacre. It goes without saying that Elliot Rodger was severely mentally ill. I'm not a psychologist, so take these diagnoses with a grain of salt. But based entirely on Elliot's manifesto and Elliot's videos, I would feel confident in saying that on a mental illness level, he was a narcissist, a sociopath, he suffered from severe depression, and he had extreme social anxiety. Elliot Rodger's father even admitted that he suspects Elliot may have been on the autistic spectrum, so there's that as well.
It wouldn't be surprising, because something people have to remember, Elliot Rodger stuff happened around the mid-2010s, like I think right when I was in high school. And at that time, autism and all that stuff was not very spoken about.
These are not...
It wasn't something that people knew about. It was a very different period of time, especially even if you go back in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? That autism was not well known. If anything, most people didn't really care. Not that they didn't care. It wasn't a focus point, right? And especially later on, where nowadays, like, almost everybody feels like they have some form of autism, which could be true, but probably not.
Official medical diagnoses. These are just my assertions based off of Elliot's work. So let's say Elliot suffered from all of these mental illnesses. It sounds as though an increase in mental health services would have surely prevented the massacre, right? Well, when people say they want an increase in mental health services, what exactly does that mean? Mental health services are primarily composed of two things: therapy and medication. Thus, the argument seems to be that if Elliot Rodger went to therapy and was prescribed medication, then the tragedy wouldn't have happened.
Not really, because a lot of these people who are like this are likely to crash out or burn out, or even worse case, even commit a crime, one way or another. I think one of the things about mental illness in America is that I think nowadays it hit a point where there is no recovery, and we're probably going to see a lot of bad things happen down the line, or at least something like that. I don't like to say it like that, but I feel like
the issue
that's
with
where we're
this
heading.
is that Elliot Rodger had multiple therapists ever since he turned 9. He had 2 social skills counselors throughout college, and he was prescribed a plethora of medications. So what exactly would constitute as an increase in Elliot's mental health services? Would the tragedy have been prevented if he instead had 5 therapists, 8 social counselors, and was
Not
prescribed
really.
twice as many pills? Of course not. Clearly the therapy and the counselors did nothing to prevent this tragedy. And as far as the pills go, Elliot refused to take them because he didn't like the way they made him feel. And as an adult over the age of 18, Elliot had the right to refuse to take his medication. Thus, an increase in mental health services would be fruitless in
The thing about mental health, especially as an adult, it's very difficult. Because as an adult, you're busy, you have a lot more stress. So mental problems become something you put away in your head. You don't think about them, you don't act on them, you don't do anything about them until when it's already too late. I can't tell you how many times I met friends who I think one way or another desperately needed help, and they didn't get the help until like almost the last minute. Or I have friends who were in a relationship with guys or girls who clearly had mental problems but never got the help they needed in a young age. And it is sad. But it's also pretty funny at the same time how in America we try to push towards like better mental health, better help in general. But the truth is many of those people who how can I say it? Many of the people who work in those fields probably just don't care for people who have mental illness. And because the way therapy works, you cannot really interact. You can guide people, but you can't really get yourself involved.
preventing future Elliot Rodgers because adults have the right to refuse to take their medication. Now listen, because I cannot repeat this enough. I am not saying that gun background checks or therapy or medication are useless in preventing tragedies. These things prevent tragedies every single day. What I am saying is, in this particular case, they were useless in preventing the Elliot Rodger massacre. So, what exactly was it that caused this tragedy? And what could have been done to prevent it? Let's take a look at what Elliot had to say. Why did Elliot Rodger feel as though he needed to kill people? The answer, in a word, is loneliness. Elliot spells this out very, very clearly multiple times. He felt as though he could not get a girlfriend, and he was extremely envious of the men who could. And because he was such a huge narcissist, because he literally regarded himself as a god among men, he felt as though his inability to get a girlfriend was a personal insult of the highest magnitude, and he needed revenge. He writes, "I will arm myself with deadly weapons and wage a war against all women and the men they are attracted to. I will punish all females for the crime of depriving me of sex. They have starved me of sex for my entire youth and gave that pleasure to other men. In doing so, they took many years of my life away. I cannot kill every single female on Earth, but I can deliver a devastating blow that will shake them all to the core of their wicked hearts. It's really that simple. In Elliot's mind, he deserved sex, he couldn't get it, and he wanted to punish those who could. You may be wondering, why did Elliot attack random people? Why not just kill those who personally rejected him? There are two answers to that question. First, this massacre was meant to send a message, and second, Elliot was never actually rejected at all. Elliot's massacre was never meant to be an act of revenge against those who directly rejected him. He felt as though the entire world had rejected him, and he wanted to declare war against.
What I mean that therapists can get involved, personal experience. From what I understand with a lot of therapists, they cannot tell you what to do. They cannot tell you how to get your life together. They cannot. What they can do is guide you and push you, but they cannot directly get involved. So let's say like you're having something wrong, or like I can't really explain it properly. From what I was told by a lot of therapists, they cannot directly get involved, like at all. Like if so, let's say something's going on in your house that may actually be very important, and like you can do something about it. They can't get involved. The reason they can't get involved to the extent that you would think other people could is because it's a liability. Most clinics, most therapy buildings or whatever have a rule where you cannot get involved too much in a person's life because of the liability it can cause. So let's say you tell somebody to do something. Let's say you're a therapist. You're talking to the patient. They're telling you about their problem. And then let's say you tell them to do something. They are more likely to do it because you're their therapist. And if that thing leads into a crime, you're a liability. As a therapist, your job is to give suggestions and advice. Your job is not to really tell them what to do. Your job is to give them an idea, and that's, or not really an idea, but give, or at least plant the idea or do something like that, and that's it. You cannot get involved more than you have to. That's why I feel like most form of therapy doesn't really work well at all. To the point where like I'm not really anti-therapy. It's just the way therapy is nowadays. And let's be honest, most therapists don't get involved because they just don't care, right? I don't know if that's a good enough answer for you, Loading. I don't know if that's a good answer for you, or maybe I'm missing something. But that's what I'm implying is that they can't get involved. They can give you suggestions and advice, but that's it. Besides that, you're on your own, and it's just a sad truth.
Against everyone. He wanted this massacre to send a message to the women around the entire world that would instill them with fear and regret for not giving him the attention he deserved. If given the opportunity, Elliot would have loved to torture and murder every single female on Earth. But because he couldn't, he would instead settle for the ones within the proximity of the city that had made him so miserable in the final years of his life. Next, we come to the biggest oversight of Elliot Rodgers' life. His rejection by women. Or as it should be stated, his lack of rejection by women. Elliot constantly speaks of the rejection he felt from women. But the fact of the matter is, he never once, in his entire life, asked a girl out on a date. Never once in his 137-page manifesto does he write about asking a girl out or getting actually rejected. This is likely where autism or Asperger's played a major role in Elliot's downfall, because he clearly had no realistic understanding of how human beings interact in the real world. In Elliot's mind, women approach men that they are attracted to, and they offer them sex and relationships. Propositioning the opposite sex for relationships is the job of women, and men are just to stand by and wait for girls to ask them out. This, of course, never happened for Elliot, so in his mind, every single girl who didn't approach him was actively rejecting him. Some of the reasons why he had this misperception were because in middle school he watched as the girls ogled over the guys, and multiple times he was subjected to locker room discussions and video recordings of sex acts being performed by his peers. Somehow these early experiences in middle school convinced Elliot that if a girl liked a guy, then she would actively pursue him. Granted, this is often the case, but realistically, one cannot expect random girls on the...
You really can't. It is rare, and I think I said it already. Well, not that it's rare. It's just, for a girl to really go and pursue a guy, there has to be something of that guy, there like certain qualities that he had that a girl really wants. It's almost like, talking about girls, it's like how Becky Boo from Locale Queen goes on about how she wants to be a trad wife and everything, but she has quality that doesn't give her that, and she's going after guys who have high standard quality, right? High, like these, I can't remember what the term is, that incels like to use a lot, high standard guys. I think that's what they call it nowadays. Or the term, I think someone knows what I'm talking about. The high standard guys or high quality guys, something like that, right? Well, the truth is, for those kind of guys, they can get any woman they want, but even they are particular because they can get any woman they want. They're not gonna get just any woman. If you know what I'm referring, or you know what I mean, they're gonna look for a woman who's either young or she has something of a quality that he wants, whether that is something motherly, something ambitious, even you can say it's very eugenic, right? And someone like Becky doesn't have any of those qualities. If anything, she's very dysgenic. But I'm being too mean. I'm being a little too mean. I'm being too much of an asshole.
The street to walk up and ask you out. Unfortunately, this is exactly what Elliot expected. He would spend entire days walking the streets of his city, or sitting in a Barnes & Noble, waiting for women to approach him and ask him out on a date. It never once crossed his mind that he should approach a girl, or even join a club in order to meet girls. He literally thought that the only way he could get a girlfriend would be for a random girl to walk up to him on the street and ask him out.
I had a conversation with an old guy at a bar one time where I live, and we were talking about approaching women, and he told me no matter how confident you could be as a guy, approaching women is still a nightmare. And he's not wrong, because he was like betting me like $100 to go up to a table of women. I'm like, yeah, no, I see what you mean now, man.
One of the major components of Elliot's loneliness and his depression and his frustration was this misperception that he was being actively rejected by every single girl he came across. And this unfortunate misperception was the bane of his existence. We now, more or less, understand why Elliot committed his massacre, so now it's time to consider what went wrong in preventing it from happening. There is one word that summarizes precisely why Elliot was able to do what he did. Incompetence. Severe, unbelievable, infuriating incompetence. Incompetence from two main sources: Elliot's parents and the police force of Isla Vista. Let's start with Elliot's parents. This will mostly be about his father, but let's briefly look at his mother, Chin. Chin Roger was an incredible enabler who coddled and babied Elliot Roger his entire life, and this was likely the major contribution to his extraordinary narcissism. Elliot's family was wealthy, and his mother bought him everything he asked for and took no measures in preventing him from playing video games alone in his room 15 hours a day, every day. She taught him from a very young age that he was able to get whatever he wanted just by wanting it. And therefore, I assert that Elliot's sense of entitlement was also the result of her parenting. But between Elliot's parents, the one I find the most fault with is his father, Peter Roger. The blood of Elliot's victims is stained on Peter Rogers' hands. If Elliot Rodger was mentally insane, if Elliot Rodger is simply a force of nature, then Peter Rodger is the weatherman who failed to do his job. Not long after Elliot's massacre, Peter appeared in an interview with Barbara Walters, and his main goal of the interview was to push the blame off of himself. He absolutely refuses to take any responsibility whatsoever for what his son did. And if we dissect exactly what he's saying, we'll find that he is either incredibly incompetent to the point of literal mental retardation, or he's just a liar. First and foremost, Peter Rodger wants to make it perfectly clear that he had no idea of his son's mental illness. He claims that he had no idea that Elliot was mentally unstable or that he hated women.
This is the horror story. This is the American horror story, or the world's horror story, is when you have somebody who on the outside is one thing and on the inside is something completely different, and you don't see it.
Peter claims that he was completely unaware of Elliot's inner turmoil and hatred, but we know that's complete bullshit. He knew that his son was a danger to both himself and to other people, and yet he did nothing. He threw therapists at his son, hoping that the problems would just go away. And worst of all, he sent Elliot off to college to live on his own.
Did you inform anyone other?
You can tell that his parent does not care. You can tell that the dad does not care one bit, and he just treats his son as like an ornament, like just a decoration to be used and to be propped up. You can tell that he does not care one bit about his son or his daughter. And it's the same because it's the opposite of his mom, who really cares.
At the college or the parents of his roommates, that he had mental problems?
I didn't see any reason to, because as far as I was concerned, he wasn't a threat to himself or anybody else.
He wasn't a threat to himself, huh? Peter
Elliot Rodger had a YouTube
when
channel.
Elliot was 16 and had a major breakdown at a dinner party. When I heard them talking about their awesome lives and their parties, I had a breakdown right then and there. I realized how much I've been missing out in my life, and I cried in front of everyone. I felt like I would never have a life as good as theirs. I told everyone that I wanted to commit suicide. Father, Sumaya, Alex, and Karina talked to me for 3 hours to cheer me up. So Peter, please tell us more about how your severely depressed, suicidal son wasn't a danger to himself or anyone else.
There are people who say that a father with a mentally unstable son should not have allowed Elliot to live on his own.
I didn't know I had a mentally unstable son.
Yes,
You're
you
right,
did.
Peter. Mentally stable people have 3-hour suicidal breakdowns all the time.
He was always obsessive about this one issue.
Obsessive about which issue?
About not
Finding
getting a girlfriend.
Alright, so it looks like Peter isn't completely incompetent. He might not have been able to notice Elliot's extremely visible mental illness, but at least he was listening the 1,000 times Elliot complained about not being able to get a girlfriend. As Elliot's father, what did he do to help his son overcome this issue?
Did you take him to Las Vegas hoping that he would lose his virginity?
No, I suggested to him that perhaps, if his blocking point was having sex, then perhaps, in Las Vegas there might be an opportunity where it's legal for him to have sex.
Typically, I would applaud any father who offers to buy his son a prostitute. But in this particular case, it was an especially destructive gesture.
Never change, you dumbass.
Peter heard his son complaining that he was severely depressed and suicidal because he couldn't get a girlfriend. And Peter's answer was, well, let's get you laid. Clearly, he wanted to make no attempt to actually solve Elliot's problem, and instead, just like with the therapy, he was hoping to throw his money at the problem to make it go away. I've read dozens of YouTube comments suggesting, perhaps humorously and perhaps not, that Elliot just needed to buy a prostitute. I will definitely address this point later on in the video, but for now let's remain focused on Elliot's father. Peter claims that he was unaware of Elliot's hatred of women, but this is, of course, complete bullshit. On page 118 of his manifesto, Elliot writes, "The website PUA Hate is very depressing. It shows just how bleak and cruel the world is due to the evilness of women. I tried to show it to my parents, to give them some sort of dose of reality as to why I am so miserable. They never understood why I am so miserable. They have always had the delusion that everything is going well for me, especially my father. When I sent the link of PUAHate.com to my parents, none of them even bothered to look at the posts on there.
Or a great stream.
Elliot sent his father a link to a misogynistic website, claiming that he agreed with the ideas posted there, and yet Peter somehow failed to understand that his son hated women.
He sent you links.
It's common. Like, I won't lie, there are times where I do hate women on the grounds of, like, they're over emotional, or they have this tendency to kind of just do shit that's annoying. But like, when I say I hate women, I think it's like a general statement that every guy feel like, oh damn, these women are doing this shit again. Not to the point where I want to.
I was disgusted and I called him up and I said, Elliot, why are you going on these websites?
Yeah.
This is negative, this is evil, and you shouldn't go on that.
So, Peter, you knew that your son was depressed and suicidal. You knew that he refused to take the medication prescribed by his doctor, and you knew that he agreed with the philosophies of a misogynistic website that you yourself referred to as evil, and yet you still claimed...
As far as I was concerned, he wasn't a threat to himself or anybody else.
You're either the most incompetent, mentally retarded person to ever become a father, or you're a liar who is trying desperately to not take the blame for a tragedy that you should have seen coming years in advance. Peter Roger, I doubt that you'll ever see this, but if you do, then I say with all sincerity, from the bottom of my heart, go fuck yourself. The other incompetent party that is to blame for not preventing this tragedy is the police force of Isla Vista. Elliot Roger posted many videos to the internet, the videos that are now famous and have been seen by millions of people. And these videos made it clear that Elliot was mentally unstable and was festering with rage. In his manifesto, Elliot recalls the morning when the police came knocking at his door after being alerted about his videos. After only a week passed since I uploaded those videos on YouTube, I heard a knock on my apartment door. I opened it to see about 7 police officers asking for me. As soon as I saw those cops, the biggest fear I had ever felt in my life overcame me. I had the striking and devastating fear that someone had somehow discovered what I was planning to do, and reported me for it. If that was the case, then the police would have searched my room, found all of my guns and weapons, along with my writings about what I planned to do with them. I would have been thrown in jail, denied of the chance to exact revenge on my enemies. The police interrogated me outside for a few minutes, asking me if I had suicidal thoughts. I tactfully told them that it was all a misunderstanding, and they finally left. If they had demanded to search my room, that would have ended everything. The police were just one step away from uncovering Elliot's plot and preventing the massacre. Yes, Elliot very efficiently lied to them and they went away. But that's not where the incompetence lies.
6 officers arrived at Elliot's apartment and knocked on the door. And Elliot was a very, very polite, kind, well-spoken, well-dressed individual. And he managed to say, we've got nothing to worry about.
If they had demanded to search my room, that would have ended everything. For a few horrible seconds, I thought it was all over.
But the police neither watched the YouTube videos nor ran a background check for purchasing guns.
And this is where the system, I think, failed. If somebody's going to do a welfare check, surely they should do a gun check on the way, because how's somebody going to do something to themselves if they feel they're a danger? It takes 90 seconds to do a gun check, and his whole scheme would have been
it doesn't.
For once, I agree with Peter. The police sent 6 officers to Elliot's apartment, but not a single one of them could be bothered to check and see if Elliot had purchased weapons. If they had taken this one common sense protocol,
not even
then
that,
6
like,
innocent
also, like,
lives
most
would have
cops
been
can
spared.
check.
Isla Vista Police Department, I doubt that you'll ever see this, but if you do, then I say with all sincerity, from the bottom of my heart, transfer to Dallas, because that's what you fucking deserve, you incompetent retards. What, then, is the answer to the question, what can be done to prevent future tragedies? What can be done to prevent future Elliot Rodgers? Well, first of all, women everywhere need to throw themselves at every random guy they see on the streets. Next, all people should have to pass a test before having children in order to prove that they aren't mentally retarded. Finally, police everywhere will have to stop being lazy, incompetent morons. So in other words, the answer is nothing. Literally nothing can be done to prevent future Elliot Rodgers, and I don't say this as a joke. There are too many variables here in order to prevent all future tragedies. There will always be, for the rest of humanity's existence, individuals who feel as though society is rigged against them, and they will seek vengeance in any way possible. They will slip through the cracks of mental health. They will refuse to take their medication. You can magically make every gun in existence disappear, but then they'll take knives and stab their roommates to death.
This is probably worse than a gun.
If your goal is to reduce casualties, then that is certainly possible. But if your goal is to prevent future tragedies from taking place, then you are pursuing a fruitless endeavor. Whether the motivation is perceived rejection, or jihad, or vengeance, or boredom, massacres like this will continue to happen indefinitely, and there is not a single thing we can do to prevent them. That's the answer to the question. That has always been the answer. And Elliot Rodger is the perfect example that proves this to be true. Finally, I would like to take a look at some of the public perception of Elliot Rodger. The things I most often read about him make claims like, he should have just hired a prostitute, or he was so privileged, he was spoiled rotten, I can't believe he did this. Both of these sentiments are incredibly shallow understandings of the struggles Elliot faced. To explain this, I refer you to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This psychological theory states that human beings need to reach each level of needs before moving up to the next one. Here we see that the bottom 2 tiers are physiological and safety. These are the shallowest and most basic needs that human beings need to acquire in order to stay alive. The next tier is love and belonging, and if you've been paying attention, you'll know that Elliot never reached this level. This is precisely what he wanted all along: love and belonging. So the argument that he just needed to hire a prostitute is utterly ridiculous. Elliot was intrigued by sex, but he found it to be barbaric and disgusting. What he wanted was a girlfriend. He wanted somebody who loved him, accepted him, and worshipped him as a god. To say that Elliot was privileged because he was born into wealth and wore fancy clothes and had a nice car is a shallow way to perceive the boy, because on the level of needs, he was stuck in tier 2. All of the privileges he had in life were the superficial bottom tier requirements. If you are a person who is loved by somebody, then on the hierarchy of needs, you are more privileged than Elliot Rodger was. I know that's a bitter pill to swallow because we all like to pretend that the wealthy can't possibly have problems too, but it's the truth. When most people look at Elliot Rodger, all they see is a monster. They see the last 20 pages of his manifesto, and they choose to ignore the first 120. The fact of the matter is, Elliot Rodger wasn't born with a gun in his hand and hatred in his heart. He was a perfectly normal human being just like the rest of us. It was through his experiences that Elliot Rodger evolved from a shy little boy into a vicious, bloodthirsty monster. Many people have told me in private messages and in the comment sections of my audiobook that they find themselves relating to Elliot. And often they feel afraid to say that because if they do, people will automatically assume that they too want to commit a massacre.
No,
this is
really.
a very unfortunate and dangerous mindset. I too found myself relating heavily to many of the sections in Elliot's manifesto. The sections about feeling alone in the world and being unable to make friends at school and crying to himself on his drives home struck deeply with me. But just because I say that doesn't mean I want to hurt people. This fear that relating to a killer will in turn make people think that you're a killer silences people, and that's not okay. There are millions of people out there, and some of them are probably watching this video right now, who are going through similar issues that Elliot faced. These people are lonely and unloved and feel rejected by the entire world, and they can't even speak out about their feelings without fear of being perceived as akin to a mass murderer. This is disgusting. Elliot tried talking about how he felt with his friends and family members, and they all either ignored him or cut ties with him altogether. If you want to prevent future Elliot Rodgers, then listen to people. Love people. Be a friend to people. We shouldn't be afraid to open up a fucking dialogue about our feelings, because when we don't let our mental illnesses out, they take over.
He's not wrong. A lot of the time, you can prevent a lot of these incidents by simply just talking to people and getting to know them, understand what makes them tick, what can make them snap. A lot of the time, most people just want a friend they can just relate to and sit down, whatever it is, smoking or drinking or just even going out for a bit. It's a relatable feeling. And he isn't wrong. You can't prevent all the Elliot Rodgers. Eventually, one way or another, it will happen. And that's a sad and it's a reality. I hope everybody had a good stream. I know that we were covering a lot of hard-hitting stuff, a lot of things that were a little crazy. This is something I always wanted to cover and talk about. Things about the whole incel, MGTOW, Elliot Rodgers. There's other people who I can go on and cover because they're just interesting. I know I usually cover internet stuff, locales, but every so often I want to cover something that is more, that hits home in reality. That hits home with reality more than you think. And again, I hope everybody had a good stream. I hope everybody have a good morning. We stream for close to 2 hours. See if there's anything else we can do. Trying to see. I think. Yeah, the guys at Ozzy are still streaming. Let me see if there's anything else we can cover. I think we're just gonna leave it like that. I don't think really there's much we can cover. Uber sorry release a video. Well, if I do a midnight stream, I'll do a midnight stream. We'll probably jump back into the whole what if history stuff. But we probably won't. Maybe not tonight. Maybe I won't stream tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Well, with that, guys, be safe. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Hope you guys have a good morning or a good night, and that you're able to relax, take it easy, and happy Saturday or Sunday. With that saying, till next time, God bless. Cue the outro.